stunt doubles, and green screens. But some actors didn't need any of that. They weren't just pretending to be heroes. They already were. And lived harder lives than most of their characters. When they stepped in front of a camera, it wasn't just performance, it was proof.
You crazy son of a bitch.
Not just stars who looked tough, but men who were tough. Before we begin, tell us in the comments, which actor do you think was the toughest in real life? Because by the end of this list, you might change your answer. Number 7. Charles Bronson didn't need to speak much. His silence alone was enough to warn you not to test him. Born as one of 15 children in a poor coal mining family, Bronson's childhood was nothing short of brutal. By age 10, he was already deep in the coal mines, working in suffocating dust, breaking his back to survive. That kind of childhood didn't just build muscles, it carved toughness into his very soul. Then came World War II. Bronson joined the U.S. Army Air Forces as a B-29 tail gunner, flying some of the deadliest missions over Japan. He was wounded in combat and awarded a Purple Heart. When he came back to Hollywood, directors instantly noticed his intensity. His punches on screen weren't choreographed. They were efficient, precise, and terrifyingly real. Actor Jan Michael Vincent once said, "He just grabbed my shirt in a scene, and I couldn't believe the strength." He wasn't pretending. And when the mafia allegedly threatened him after Death Wish, Bronson just laughed and said, "I've lived too long to be scared of that." He wasn't acting like a man hardened by life. He was a man hardened by life. Number 6, Marvin Lee. Marvin wasn't loud, he wasn't flashy, but his presence alone could silence a room. Before becoming an actor, Marvin fought in World War II as a U.S. Marine. At the Battle of Saipan, he was shot in the back by machine gun fire. The injury nearly killed him, left him with permanent nerve damage and a limp for the rest of his life. But when the cameras rolled, he carried himself like nothing had happened. Directors often said Marvin moved like a man who had truly seen death, because he had. When Marvin played gangsters or cold-blooded killers, audiences felt uneasy because they sensed there was something real behind his eyes. Off-screen, his toughness was just as legendary. During one shoot in Oregon, he got into a bar fight with several lumberjacks at once. Witnesses swore he held his own, and then calmly showed up to work the next day, bruises and all, refusing any delay in filming. Marvin didn't need to act tough. He carried the weight of war and survival in every role he played. Number 5, James Cagney. Cagney may have been only 5 feet 5 inches tall, but he proved that toughness has nothing to do with size. Raised in the gritty streets of New York's Lower East Side, Cagney grew up fighting almost daily. He didn't learn boxing for fun. He learned it because survival demanded it. That real street training showed up in his acting. His punches looked real because they were. Director Raoul Walsh once said, "Jimmy knew how to throw a punch better than any actor I ever worked with because he'd thrown plenty of real ones." But Cagney wasn't just a brawler. He was also an exceptional dancer. That rare combination of fighter's aggression and dancer's precision made him explosive on screen. In fight scenes, his footwork was lightning quick, his movements sharp and unpredictable. Even legendary comedian Bob Hope once said, "Cagney was the kind of guy who'd drop you, then help you up and buy you a drink." Cagney's blend of street smarts, fighter's grit, and performer's grace made him one of Hollywood's most authentic tough guys. Number 4, Anthony Quinn. Anthony Quinn's story began in chaos. Born during the Mexican Revolution, some of his earliest childhood memories were of soldiers storming through the streets and his family running for safety. When his family moved to East Los Angeles, life didn't get any easier. Poverty, crime, and violence were everywhere. By age 9, Quinn was already working, carrying heavy loads, laboring on construction sites, and doing whatever it took to survive. By his teens, he turned to professional boxing, trading punches in real rings for real money. That broken nose he carried, not makeup. It was earned in the fight game. Even after he made it to Hollywood, he never lost that toughness. On the set of Zorba the Greek, he carried massive logs across the beach that normally took 2 men to lift. On the Guns of Navarone, at age 46, he insisted on doing his own cliff-climbing stunts. ignoring insurance warnings. What made Quinn unique was his ability to combine raw power with deep emotion. He could crush a man in one scene and cry with vulnerability in the next. That balance made him not just a tough guy, but a legend. Anthony Quinn wasn't performing toughness. He lived it. Number 3, Steve McQueen. He wasn't just the king of cool. Steve McQueen was danger, rebellion, and defiance wrapped in one man. McQueen's childhood was pure chaos. Abandoned by his parents, he bounced through abusive stepfathers and reform schools before running away at 14. By his teens, he was stealing, brawling, and drifting from town to town until he finally enlisted in the U.S. Marines. But McQueen wasn't the model soldier. He was rebellious, got demoted 7 times, and once spent 41 days in the brig for refusing orders. Yet when it mattered, he showed courage. During an Arctic training exercise, he risked his life to pull 5 fellow Marines from a sinking tank. That act alone proved his toughness wasn't reckless, it was real. When he reached Hollywood, McQueen didn't slow down. He demanded to do his own stunts, no matter the risk. In The Great Escape, he performed nearly all the motorcycle chase scenes himself. The only stunt he didn't do was the barbed wire fence jump, and that was because the studio forbade it. During the Sand Pebbles, he nearly drowned in a river scene. In The Towering Inferno, he insisted on doing dangerous fire stunts that even veteran stuntmen avoided. His stunt double once joked, "Steve didn't act like a racer or a fighter. He was better than most real ones I knew." Off-screen, McQueen's love for speed was an obsession. He raced motorcycles and cars professionally, sometimes under fake names, so producers wouldn't stop him. He even placed second in the grueling 1970 Sebring race with a cast on his foot. And when McQueen learned his name was on Charles Manson's hit list, he didn't panic. He just started carrying a loaded Magnum revolver everywhere. That was Steve McQueen, living fast, living wild, and living fearlessly. Number 2, Audie Murphy. If Hollywood ever had a true action hero, it was Audie Murphy. But his toughness didn't come from scripts. It came from the battlefield. Murphy was the most decorated U.S. soldier of World War II. At just 19 years old, he pulled off one of the most unbelievable feats in military history. Alone, wounded, and running out of ammo, he held off an entire German company for over an hour, then led a counterattack. For that, he was awarded the Medal of Honor, America's highest military decoration. But that wasn't all. Before his 21st birthday, Murphy earned 28 military medals, including every U.S. award for valor, plus honors from France and Belgium. He destroyed tanks, charged machine gun nests, and killed over 240 enemy soldiers, more than some battalions. When Murphy returned, Hollywood saw his boyish face and small frame and thought he looked too gentle to be a warrior. That disconnect is what made him legendary on screen. When he starred in To Hell and Back, a film based on his own life, producers had to tone down the story because audiences wouldn't believe what he had really done. But Murphy's toughness wasn't without cost. He suffered from severe PTSD. He slept with a loaded gun under his pillow, had violent flashbacks, and struggled with inner demons for the rest of his life. Yet despite it all, he kept acting, kept moving forward, and never let the world see him break. Audie Murphy wasn't acting like a hero. He was the definition of one. Number 1, John Wayne. And now, number 1. You knew this name would show up. John Wayne wasn't just a Hollywood icon. He was the very symbol of American toughness. But unlike the myth, his toughness wasn't just on screen. It was in every bone of his body. Wayne grew up in a working-class family, played football on scholarship at USC, and clawed his way into Hollywood through sheer strength and determination. In his early days, he wasn't acting. He was moving props, building sets, and doing the hard labor no one else wanted to touch. When he finally became a star, he brought more than presence. He brought pain tolerance and grit. On the set of The Alamo, Wayne performed a brutal horse stunt that cracked several of his ribs. Instead of halting production, he wrapped himself in bandages, took painkillers, and kept going. Then came 1964. Doctors removed a lung and 4 ribs, after he was diagnosed with cancer. Most people assumed it was the end of his career. But months later, Wayne was back in front of the cameras, riding, fighting, and doing his own stunts. Director Henry Hathaway once offered him a stunt double. Wayne looked him straight in the eye and said, "Either I do my own stunts, or you get someone else." Even his harshest critics respected his toughness. Kirk Douglas, who clashed with Wayne politically, admitted, "Disagree with his views all you want, but don't question the man's toughness. I've seen him work through things that would send most men to the hospital. From broken bones to cancer surgeries, John Wayne refused to stop. He didn't just play the tough guy, he defined it." So there you have it, 7 real-life action heroes of Hollywood. Men who didn't just look the part, they lived it. From coal mines to battlefields, from boxing rings to blazing stunts, each of them carried scars that no script could ever fake. Which one shocked you the most? And who else do you think deserves to be on this list? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read them all. And if you think these actors were tough, just wait until you hear the untold stories of Hollywood's most dangerous stunts and the people who risked their lives to perform them. Don't forget to subscribe, because the next video might just blow your mind.